Welcome, everyone. We are Paybridge Technologies, and my name is Naveen. And today I'm joined by Ellis, Mohammed, Trevor, Trinian, and Venkat. And we hope you're all having a great day. Just 2 years ago, I was sitting at home with nothing to do during the pandemic, and I played the popular video game Minecraft. Not long after, I began to host Minecraft servers for all my friends, and I found that I needed a better way to collect money from all my friends. I either had to gather the money in person with cash and stop the server for a few days, which was very inconvenient, or I could have used payment methods such as PayPal or Venmo, but not everyone had access to these applications. Transitioning to today, my fellow co-founders and I are tackling this very problem.
Now, this problem is not specific to Naveen. In fact, it is quite a universal pain. Here, you can see John and Sandeep discussing their issues with current payment situations. John states that while there is a way to send money from Cash App accounts to Cash App accounts and Venmo to Venmo, there is no viable method to send from Cash App to Venmo and vice versa. In Sandeep's situation, he states he's done a ton of research, but has yet to find a useful method of transferring between platforms. Now, with this problem, we can categorize it into 4 pillars. The first problem is overchoice, where there are too many options for people to deal with PayPal, Venmo, and many numerous other payment services. The second is time, where it currently takes 1 to 3 business days to transact money. Third is expenses. The fees are high and ridiculous for alternative methods. And lastly, we have hassle, where average users that manually deal with this problem still have to manage and balance all of their services.
And so this is where we come in. We welcome you to Paybridge Technologies, where we are building the bridge to connect everyday payments while bringing the world closer with every step. What we are aiming to do is to become the one payment service to connect them all. Our solution, as you will progressively see, is fast, simple, cheap, and secure.
Here's a quick product demo. To enter the application, hit Enter Paybridge. You'll be met with the form. Once you have finished the form, you put in your amount that you'd like to send. In this case, we're going to be sending money from me to my friend John, and I'm going to be sending from Venmo to Cash App, and I'd like to send $20.15. I hit Submit Transaction, and now I'm met with the receipt. This receipt is uniquely generated, so even if you reload the page, it has a check behind the scenes to make sure that the code is always the same. Now, if you check Discord, the transaction ID appears to all the staff members, with the database ID included, and if you check your email, a receipt will be sent there. Thank you.
For our MVP, we currently support both Cash App and Venmo as payment services. This is because they have large customer bases and fit our business model. In terms of statistics, Cash App has over 100 million downloads. They generated 12.3 billion in 2021, and they had 44 monthly active users in just Q4 of 2021. For Venmo, they have over 70 million users, and they processed 230 billion in payment volume just in 2021. With person-to-person transactions and small businesses, these platforms are perfect for our startup.
So here's how our current MVP transaction flowchart works. Let's say user 1 wanted to send user 2 $10 from Venmo to Cash App. Our Venmo account will be worth $50. User 1 would send $10 plus a simple 2.5% plus 15-cent fee to our Venmo account, which will now be worth around $60. On the other hand, our Cash App account would be worth $50, and we'd send money to the user 2. And once user 2 has received their money, our Cash App account would be worth $40 at the end of this transaction.
In the future, when we automate everything, this is the process we're going to use. We're first going to use an authentication system that allows users to save their login information. Users will then be able to make a transaction using a simple UI. And as soon as they make a transaction, we will be able to check if the designated amount that they're sending is under our liquidity pool threshold. If it is, we will then request the money to the service that they're sending from using APIs. After that, we'll verify if the money was sent to our Paybridge account. If it wasn't sent to it, we'll wait 2 minutes and try 2 more times. If not, we'll just cancel the whole transaction. However, if the money is sent to our Paybridge account, we'll then send the money to the recipient using APIs.
To all of our technical people out there, here's our tech stack.
Our market size has extremely high potential. However, we have niched down in our early stages of being a startup. Our total addressable market in users who have only one transaction service is 96 million possible users. Next in the model, our serviceable addressable market contains users of Venmo or Cash App that don't have the opposite. This is because these are our main supporter platforms. This would equate to approximately 26 million users. Lastly, our serviceable obtainable market is around 5 to 10% of our serviceable addressable market, which is further narrowed down to more frequent daily users, specifically in the younger age range.
Our marketing strategies were that we use Facebook, LinkedIn and Facebook for connections, Instagram and Twitter for updates, and Discord for our support and community server. We're counting on the word of mouth and making our product fully automated before it goes viral. And here are some of our early stage numbers. We have a total of 120 plus total followers, 10 plus customers, $50 plus a transaction volume, and 7 plus transactions.
Okay, for our unit economics, we plan to start generating revenue by having a 2.5% plus 15-cent transaction fee. We also plan to generate revenue by offering subscription plans to users who would like lower transaction fees and other perks. We do expect changes to come with our transaction fees in the future when we start to facilitate a larger amount of transactions. In terms of costs, we currently have a monthly cost of $16 for web hosting and domains, but we believe these costs can be easily covered in just a few transactions.
In the market, we have a few competitors like Zoom.com, MoneyClip, and Remitly. Zoom.com is a service for international transactions, while MoneyClip is a more peer-to-peer service provider that targets the Canadian demographic. And on the same terms of Zoom.com, Remitly is also an international transaction provider. These companies mainly focus on large transactions and usually take time or might have higher fees. Also, competitors like MoneyClip are focused on domestic transactions, which is not like us.
While our solution is simply better, as the process is instantaneous once it gets automated, has significantly lower fees than competitors, is easily usable and secure. We will even provide international services after we discovered a market gap and had an amazing light bulb moment with a customer during our hypothesis testing.
Here you can see our initial feedback from our first customers whom we had the pleasure of completing a transaction with. They were very supportive of our development, and both Aiden and Abdur said that we were able to adequately solve their problem of sending money to one another.
And we're already on the angel seed radar, as a venture analyst cold messaged us on our business page as it began to gain some traction on LinkedIn.
Here's our roadmap for the next couple of quarters. By the end of Q4 2022, we plan to fully automate all of our transactions, create a secure authentication page, and increase our liquidity amounts. By the end of Q1 2023, we plan to fully revamp our website using frameworks like Next.js, create a mobile app, partner with smaller businesses, and by the end of Q2, we'd like to find more investors, expand our team, and support more platforms. Finally, by the end of Q3 2023 and beyond, we plan to develop an API and documentation for developers like the Stripe API, and also ramp up our marketing and search engine optimization efforts.
Here is our team, and my name is Trinayan Hariharan, and I'm a developer on the team.
My name is Naveen Narayanan, and I'm also a developer on the team.
My name is Venkat Mandava, and I'm the generalist of this team.
My name is Mohammed Al Sharif, and I'm the marketing analyst.
My name is Ellis Garver, and I'm responsible for sales and advertising.
My name is Trevor Park, and I'm responsible for web development and marketing. We also have some interns. Abdel and Ayush are both developers.
Thank you for listening, and do you have any questions?
Awesome job, guys. I'm going to pass it over to the judges. We're going to do it so it's 5 minutes per judge for both the Q&A as well as the feedback. Shreya or Chelsea, do one of you guys want to start us off?
I can start us off. Great job. Love this presentation. My first question was, is this a token economics Web3 play? I was a little confused if there are stable coins. Is that why the transaction fees are so low here?
So not exactly. We based the idea off of liquidity pools, but this is all centralized and it's just between bank accounts and debit cards. So there's no Web3 involved with this application at all.
I do hope in the future we could utilize some elements of blockchain in future software and transactions.
And how are you able to get it so much lower in terms of transaction costs than your competitors?
So our competitors obviously have their own costs, but if you had to, you'd have to, if you were like, let's say today you want to send money from Venmo to Cash App, you'd have to withdraw your money from Venmo to your bank account, which can take up to 1 to 3 business days. If not, you can pay a higher transaction fee. And then once you fully withdraw to your bank account, then you have to make a Cash App account and put it back in there. So with our service, all we have to do is we provide a standard 2.5% fee plus the 15 cents. And with that, simply people can transfer money between platforms.
I'd like to add on to that and say that most of our customers are internationally based, so they focus on transferring currency exchanges, so say from the US to Canada. And with that, there's a lot higher fees, anywhere from 3 to 4% compared to our 2.5.
Got it. And are people in the US, do they primarily use one of the services versus another service like Cash App? Is that one of the main problems, or is it more just the international transaction fees are slow and expensive?
So from our hypothesis testing, we saw that in the US, yeah, people use they use Venmo more often, while in Canada, they use like East transfers more. So that's where there's a much bigger disparity between users, and people from the United States aren't able to send money like as fast to people in Canada. And also within the United States, there are some groups, like for example, younger groups tend to use Venmo more, while older individuals and business individuals like use PayPal more. So there's a lot of disparity between users, and we feel that we can become the bridge that connects all these payments together, and it's a much more convenient platform for everyone.
Yeah, just adding on to that, yeah, just from our research that we did, the disparity in the utilities used. So with Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, there's always a like significant population that prioritizes one or two services and then doesn't have the other services. And then that's when the conflict comes in, when people are trying to transfer money between these different platforms.
And have you done any research to think, at least in the US base, would people rather pay that transaction fee than to have both apps, for example? And are they willing to pay that fee to have their money more immediately than to say 1 to 3 business days like you have to wait on Venmo?
So as we saw in a lot of stories that we've heard, and when we researched online, a lot of people, they need that money transferred in that certain situation. For example, if I have to go pay a friend for like snacks or something like that, where I'm at a football game or something, it's better off when I have the money like all transferred right there rather than people forgetting about it. So people are just so that it's all done right now as soon as possible. People are willing to pay that 2.5%. And we did see that in our whole testing we sent Google Forms to people and potential customers. They said, yeah, they would use this, and they've been in this type of situation a lot.
I think I'm running out of time, but some feedback I have is I really liked at the beginning when you opened it with the very clear story as to what the problem was and why you came about this idea. I thought that was really good. So I would keep using that situation, and yeah, just really continue to talk about what the problem is and why people are going to use this solution over whatever solutions there are now, especially if there's that international component, which is a big player here. Definitely talk about how that is better than, say, TransferWise.
Thank you so much for the feedback. Thank you.
Kelsey, you have 30 seconds, but we can definitely pass it over to Shreya right now. I don't know if we can really fit in a juicy question in the meantime. But Shreya, enjoy the extra 18 seconds now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'll start off with feedback and then can do questions. Fantastic job, everyone, for building this working MVP and facilitating transactions. I think that was really powerful and shows that not only was this an idea, but you actually worked out the kinks and made the financial transaction. So wanted to commend everyone for that. And I think that's the kind of thing that you can actually put sooner in the slideshow, in the pitch deck, so that we know that you've actually launched it, built it, because that's really exciting. After that nice comment, I want to ask a kind of spicy existential question. What happens if you get blocked by these services? Do you know that the API won't block these transactions, or have you thought about that?
So we have thought about this and we've done lots of research. Obviously, there is no other like direct competitor to this. And we have read like PayPal's terms of services, and there doesn't seem to be anything in the terms of services that seem to block us. But if we do block us, we'll probably have to talk it out with the company. But it probably won't be soon because we're still a very small group. But once we start growing, that may be a problem.
So adding on to Naveen right there, we've also thought about getting ourselves as a company and setting this up as an LLC, because most likely Google will also flag us for doing some transactions. So one way you can prevent this is getting all the legal set up and getting your company completely done. So anyone else can.
Totally, that's great. I think it's great that you dug into the terms of services, even though that's probably very boring and convoluted. Another question was, so I think that subscription model is very interesting, but I'm wondering, have you thought of any business models that don't charge the end user because it's you're making these financial transactions? Have you thought of any way to get that cut from the businesses or the other payers on either end rather than the consumer.
So yeah, we've thought about adding like a more customization to our transaction. Like the form right now basically charges the person sending the money, but we are trying to make it so that you could split the cost, split the transaction fee between the user and the person that's getting paid. So it might deduct money from their PayPal account or Cash App account. And we've thought about that, who has to pay the transaction fees, because sometimes it might be the end user who needs the service rather than the person sending the money. So we have thought about splitting the transaction fees or changing up how it's being charged.
We also, adding on, we also thought of different types of different ways of making money. So we don't have to charge we don't have to charge a transaction fee such as like advertising. Also, when we develop more like custom software, like Naveen said, like a Stripe API, or like a Stripe, we would decide who to charge, and we're still figuring that out, but
Yeah, like in the future, when we make an API, kind of like how Stripe charges it nowadays, if you're going to make a full stack application, you'd probably use the Stripe API, but they have heavy fees on it, like 15 cents per payment method. So we're thinking we can also charge a little lower on that side.
Okay, cool. And then another thing I'm curious about is, same as Chelsea, I really liked that you had that like Minecraft story at the beginning. I'm curious, is that part of your acquisition strategy, like gaming related transactions? I'm thinking about how Venmo started on college campuses to get their initial users. Cash App did a bunch of celebrity endorsements. Because this could be used for such a wide variety of transactions, how are you going to reach people first?
I'd say primarily we did begin like just seeking out like friends, family, and all that. And then occasionally we were gonna niche it down to restaurants and all that, but we did do some more research and realized that it wasn't too applicable in that regard. So it is more of a general utility tool. And then we are just like going the general ad route, like just finding people, social media, advertising ads, all that.
I think like a related point of feedback would be, so definitely makes sense to start with friends, family, network, but then you're going to hit a wall at some point. And so I think of who are other people who feel this pain point really strongly, and how can we systematically acquire them or get in front of those users?
also
Right.
adding on to Mo, another reason why we started with friends and family was because we have more of that trust factor, because it is dealing with sending money, and not everybody's going to trust like a startup in the beginning. So once we do acquire a little bit more trust, we will branch out to a wider audience.
And our audience, we've seen that this pain point hits people who don't have, like, for example, a Cash App was like 13 plus while Venmo is 18 plus. So maybe younger users might have this pain point where they can't use certain services. And that's where our whole service comes into play.
Yeah, I think your differentiator can be as simple as like you have super cool branding and you're targeted at Gen Z and millennials versus those competitors that you described. Even from their logos, they're pretty old school looking. And so you can just be like the cool, young, snazzy, cross-platform financial service. So great job, everyone. This is really awesome.